My friends got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to get right into it. First of all, it's a very important birthday in my family, as you can see by my balloon. Yay! Happy birthday. It's my son's birthday, so happy birthday, Cade. And to keep this show going, we got a PayPal address in the description. We also have an affiliate link. If you're going to order something through Amazon, this won't cost you anything. Click that link first and then just type in whatever you want to buy, and I get a small commission. But those are two ways to support the channel, keep it going, and even if you want to just give us a tip for a little birthday gift for my son, or maybe to go buy some diapers. Right after recording this, I have to head to the store and buy him some diapers. And we would really appreciate it, and it helps us bring this content. This isn't a monetized channel. I don't have a Patreon account or anything for it right now. But it's my son's birthday, and first birthday, and if you've been following this channel, you know that how it's affected my life, having a baby in my life, and how it's affected my thinking, and affected my spiritual beliefs, made me a religious person, whereas I wasn't that religious before. And if you donate to our link, I'm not going to make any guarantees, but maybe God will give you back more than you give. I'm not guaranteeing that. And what I'm saying now, watch the video a little further. It's going to tie into that. It's kind of going to be about that. But I'm not going to say God's going to necessarily give you more money than you give us. But you will feel good. You will be supporting the content. Maybe you'll be supporting my son on his birthday, give him a gift. So that's a great way to do it. But it's an important birthday, obviously my son's first birthday, but also 3 years ago, it's the anniversary of my grandmother's death date. My son was born today. Tomorrow will be the 3-year anniversary of my grandma's death. She died at age 92. Such an amazing, wonderful woman. She was a physically strong woman. She was incredibly intelligent, and she was a very religious, very spiritual woman, and I think that brought a lot of blessings into our life. So Grandma, if you're up in heaven and you can hear this, she died at age 92, and there's a lot of talk, especially with the MGTOW group, and the people talking about the issue of feminism and this issue of strong women. This would be topic for another video. But my grandmother, much like my wife, and much like my wife's grandmother who's currently 92, these are all real strong women, legit strong women. And they know what it means to be a strong woman. It's not just about going to work and serving a boss that really doesn't even care about you. They worked, but they also served their husbands, their families. They did what's best for their family, these women. So hats off to these strong women. So that's tomorrow, the 3rd anniversary of my grandmother's death, who died at 92. She'd be 95 now. And then 2 days from now, on Wednesday, it's another important birthday. The birthday of our king, Elvis Presley. So it's funny, when my dad was born, because my son was born, his birthday's actually tonight. I'm recording this in the morning. He's making some noises in the background saying hello. I don't know if you can hear that. But it's funny, my son was born after 10 p.m., so he just missed. He was barely born on this day, and my dad's like, man, he almost made it to Elvis's birthday. Wouldn't that have been something? So it's an important week. Like I said, birthday today for my son. Tomorrow, 3-year anniversary of my grandmother, death anniversary of my grandma, and then Wednesday, birthday of the king. Okay, so now I want to talk about something, and I kind of referenced it earlier. As many of you know, I grew up Catholic, and for the past year, I've been kind of studying religion. I always thought Catholic, and this is probably how most Catholics feel, even when it's part of your culture, and even if that's the only thing you know, I didn't even know non-Catholics existed in this world till I was maybe 15 or 16 years old. But I grew up in Bismarck, North Dakota, and this is during the 1990s, when we were all a very uniform people. We were really one people, basically one race, one ethnicity for the most part, or at least majority. Most people are at that time were of German ancestry, which meant they're Catholic. And then our minority, which were people of Scandinavian ancestry, who tend to be something called Lutheran. But I didn't even know that existed till basically I was in high school. But even if you grow up Catholic, you think a lot of it's kind of goofy and you don't understand it, and they make you go through CCD as a kid if you don't go to Catholic school, if you go to public schools like me. And you're just not interested. Kids aren't interested in this. I only got interested in this after having a son because I felt some sort of spiritual calling. And I just want to say, God, for the past year, even though we've had so many worries and concerns, thank you so much for making everything go out okay and turn out okay in the end. Everything worked out according to your master plan so far, and we're truly grateful to have this happy, healthy baby, and he is truly a happy baby. But I don't get on people, non-Catholics, that think Catholicism is weird. That's kind of my point that I was getting at. Because, quite frankly, it is kind of weird. And yesterday I went to a Protestant church with my wife. My wife is Protestant. And she's into the non-denominational stuff. She's not any particular denomination, but she considers herself born again or non-denominational. And sometimes I go to churches with her. And some of them are pretty good. Some of them I like less than others. But we started going to this church in our neighborhood just this past week. And I love going to this Protestant church. But because they have a playroom for kids and babies that's padded and they have toys. And it's a great way to, while my wife worships and prays, spend some quality time with my son, exposing him to other children, a different environment. It's all safe and padded. He can, crawl around or whatever he wants to do in there. But yesterday, I had a hard workout in the morning, and then we were getting ready to go, and I said, hey, let me run down to the shawarma place. If you've been following my videos, I go to this shawarma place every day, usually late at night. But I got to go get some shawarma because otherwise I might not be too happy during the church service because I'm going to be hangry. So I go down to the shawarma place right outside our building, and there's a big Catholic church right across from the shawarma place. And there was a priest standing in front of the shawarma place, this dirty shawarma place I go to, and he's in the full outfit of the holy robes. He has these long robes on. He's waiting for a taxi is what he was doing. And, I'm Catholic, but I thought, boy, this is such a funny scene to see this priest wearing the holy robes, or I'm sure that's not the term for him. I don't even know what the term is. But it was just a scene. I wish I would have had my camera with me to take a photo of that. This priest in the long robes waiting for a taxi in front of this dirty, gross shawarma place that I love going to. So I was kind of thinking I can't really blame people for thinking Catholicism's a bit weird. And definitely, after studying Catholicism, I see why they do a lot of things, but still, there's definitely a lot of things obviously wrong with the Catholic Church. It's obviously been infiltrated. Just the other day, I was watching this movie called Angels and Demons that was on TV with Tom Hanks. And one of the things that he was saying in the movie was that the Illuminatis infiltrated the Catholic Church, like at least some point in history. Like they weren't saying they currently were in charge, but that doesn't offend me. I know a lot of religious people and Catholics get offended, I heard, by these movies, which I hadn't seen before. But I thought there's nothing offensive about that because we know that to be true, because we have to look no further than the current Pope Francis and a lot of the higher-ups in the Catholic Church that are in charge. Those guys, they're not even like just kind of shady guys or bad guys. They're flat-out evil dudes. And by the way, if you're not Catholic, most devout Catholics that are at all intelligent and have been paying attention, they know. They know Pope Francis is a bad guy. Everyone's aware. It's not exactly a secret. But anyways, I'm going to try and keep this short as possible, but I got a lot to say. We go to the church after that, my wife's church, and I go on the floor. We're in this playroom, and it's kind of at the top. And if you look out the window, you can see the people preaching, but I'm kind of in the back on the mats and stuff, and I'm trying to get my son to play and having a good old time with him. And then they had a guest preacher, and I can hear him speaking. And I can tell from his voice, kind of the region at least where he's from. And I said to my wife, I'm down on the thing. If I would stand up and look, I would see what he looks like, actually, but I'm busy with my son down on the mat. And I said to my wife, this guy preaching, he's an American, isn't he? And she said, yeah, he is. He's a guest speaker from America. And I said, yeah, I can tell he has kind of a southern accent. And this guy, if you were casting a TV show and you're like, we need someone to play a TV evangelical minister, that this is the type of guy that you would cast, because he's very theatrical. He's saying things like, we must sanctify the Sabbath, and like it's very stereotypical, and so you could tell he's this Southern style thing, and I'm not really paying attention that much to what he's saying, so I'm kind of getting bits and pieces, because they have a speaker in the room where we are, and it's so loud, it's kind of hard to ignore. And a lot of it's kind of tied into the prosperity gospel stuff, which I don't really necessarily mind. I like some of that prosperity gospel stuff. And Joel Osteen, actually, before I actually went all in and became a Christian, Joel Osteen was someone that at least got me interested in spirituality. Now, after becoming a Christian and going deeper into it, I'm a little disappointed that there's some other things that he doesn't address, but that's topic for another video. But the guy, he's saying a lot of things. Some of them are kind of funny. Like, it's the year 2020, and if you know what 2020 vision is, if you go to the doctor and you get your eyes checked, 2020 means you have perfect vision. Well, that's actually not what 2020 means. 2020 is actually what you're supposed to have. You're seeing at 20 feet what you're supposed to see at 20 feet. But anyways, and some of it's prosperity gospel, but I didn't find it to be good, even the better prosperity gospel stuff. And I'm mostly focused on playing with my son, and also there's all these other kids running around, and I want to make sure he doesn't get trampled, so I have to be very aware of that and make sure that he doesn't get hit by any of these kids running around. But when he got towards the end of his message, and this is something that really left a bad taste in my mouth, and I kind of bitched about it to my wife when we left. I was kind of complaining about it. He got into the old thing about it all comes back to giving me money. And he was saying that he said, they told me that poor people, we shouldn't tell them to give. And he said, poor people cannot afford not to give. And these are messages that I can't agree with at all. And there is some spiritual as well as psychological principles that come to, if you're afraid to let go, if you're holding on, it keeps more money from flowing in. And when I say spiritual and psychological, to me sometimes they're often kind of the same thing, but there is some truth to that. But this is not like a 401k plan or something. Realistically, if you give money to a church or even some sort of good cause that you believe in, you shouldn't necessarily do it thinking that there's going to be God that's going to be like, well, I'm going to give this guy gave me money, I'm going to pay him back. I'm going to pay this guy back with interest, which that's not exactly what the preacher said. He didn't say the exact words of give me money and God's going to pay you back with interest, but essentially that's the message that he was putting out there with, and it really grossed me out. And to people that say, well, I don't like Christianity or whatever, if that's their exposure to Christianity, yeah, I can see why they don't like it. Because it's just gross. It's just icky. It just comes off as very wrong telling people that, you know, when you make it about money like that. So I left and I was kind of complaining to my wife for quite a while. I want to get that off my chest. Part of the reason I'm doing this video is to get this, and as well as other things when I do my videos, get these things off my chest. But my wife brought up, actually, she did bring up some good counterpoints, in fairness. She's a very intelligent woman. She's very well-versed, more well-versed in this stuff, a lot of this stuff than I am, actually. And she was saying, well, that she was trying to argue, and she said that's not exactly what the message was, but okay. But she said the bottom line is, instead of complaining, you should be focusing on what you need to do better. What can you do that's going to be in your best interest to move forward with your life, instead of complaining about this other guy who you didn't like his message? So I thought that was a very good counterpoint that my wife made to some of this, but I was also thinking that as much as Catholicism's weird, this is so much weirder and worse. But I was also thinking that, to me, this guy, he's more like a small-time con man. he's, you know, some sort of shady small-time con man. But then when you look at the people running the Catholic Church at the higher level, because it's been infiltrated, whether you want to call it Illuminati, communists, there's a lot of other terms for these. Obviously, it's been infiltrated, and that's how eventually we ended up with the current pope we have. So this guy may be a small-time con man, but the pope, he's nothing compared to the pope. The pope is actually looking at worldwide level, controlling the entire world. So when you look at small-time con men like this guy, which maybe even that's a little harsh to call him, because I truly don't know what he believes or what's in his heart. Maybe he truly does believe the stuff he's saying. And if he does, I'd probably give him a pass, even though I don't agree with it. But the Pope he's looking at the entire planet and thinking, this is going to be ours to control. I'm like, well, that's so much worse. But hopefully this video, it kind of entertained you, kind of brought some perspectives. This isn't meant to be Catholicism versus Protestantism, a total breakdown. This was just some observations from my life of yesterday. Okay, now I got to go buy my son some diapers and buy us some eggs. Good, cheap source of solid nutrition, protein. Good, probably one of the best foods you can have. So, all right, my friends. Until next time.